This may seem like sort of a cutesy little thing, but it actually illustrates this idea, the way that we think, really, really well. So I want to talk about why you can use the shortcuts that you use when you identify tourists in your trading. So whenever we see tourists, if you're someplace and you notice someone, you can kind of tell, especially when you're overseas, you can kind of tell where someone's from if you pay attention to some of the clues. And I like to play this game, living overseas. It's fun for me to try and guess, where is that person from the US or, UK or Brazil or whatever it is. You can often tell by just looking at a few different clues. And in the same way, you can often tell where the market's headed. It's not perfect, of course, but you can get some clues from what the chart shows you. So let's talk about how you can use these tourist heuristics in your trading. Now, heuristic is just a fancy psychology term for a mental shortcut. We use these every single day. It's why, in fact, we have stereotypes. Stereotypes are, in essence, sort of heuristics for us to use. And these stereotypes that I have for Americans as tourists overseas are quite clearly help me to sort of identify things. That's why we use these heuristics. The shortcuts just save us mental energy. So let me show you. And I know a lot of people give Americans a lot of crap about the way that they see the world, or they don't have passports, they don't travel, or they don't see what's going on. And you can see that illustrated in this map. But what I want to show you instead is, what do you notice about all of these images? So we have all of these images of tourists overseas, and what you're going to notice is something quite common. Perhaps you'll notice it, and maybe you won't. But there's actually a common thing that's going on here. With each of these tourists, you will see something very common, and that commonality is, did you catch it? Did you see it? Their shoes. She's wearing trainers or tennis shoes. She's wearing tennis shoes or trainers. So is she. So is she. And so are they. And this is something that you'll notice, like when I'm watching people, that's one of the things I'll pay attention to closely, is what kind of shoes are they wearing? Because that will often tell me whether they're from Scandinavia, the US, Canada, Brazil, even, China. You can tell by what they're wearing and how they're dressed, and particularly their shoes. Now, what's interesting is that there are other clues too. You can tell by what you can tell that they're German, not just their shoes, but you can often tell by swimsuits. If they're wearing Speedos, they're probably not from the US. So there are other shortcuts, but the clearest, fastest way for me to tell when I see a tourist which country they're from is for me to concentrate on their shoes. So it's a fascinating thing to me, because you can do the exact same thing with the charts, and I'll show you how you might do that right now. Here we are on the Euro-CAD 4-hour chart, and what you'll notice is that the Euro-CAD has come down here, and it's made some really interesting moves. You can see some strong candles, and it's paused, strong candle, and it's paused, and it's actually at a similar spot. So before, historically, it made it went to a spot here, and then it finally broke through that, and it's at that same spot, which happens to be the same spot over here where it had trouble. Well, actually, if you look at it from this point of view, it's actually where support was, and it held there for 3 candles before falling through. But the point is, right around this area, we might draw a support and resistance level, perhaps. You could also probably draw one here, and you could also probably draw one up there. But you could look at this and go, look, the market was held there. It couldn't get through here. It was held there by quite a bit and touched it a few times as well over here. And now we basically hit it again, and we've paused. Now, one of the things that I pay attention to when I'm watching is what exactly is the market doing? Is it pausing at a resistance level or a support level? If it's pausing there and the candles are high and tight and right up against that level, it'll often break through. Here's another instance right here. Now, this is one that's going to catch a lot of people out. You can see the market is now on this brilliant support over here, is now where it's resistance, and there's a kangaroo tail here. Now, a lot of people are going to look at that and they're going to say, oh, wow, that's a reversal signal. The market found support here, it's come up here, it's going to find resistance because it printed this long-tailed kangaroo tail. Well, guess what? Because it hasn't traded lower than this kangaroo tail, and because these candles are just sitting there, it's probably going to break higher. all these candles just sitting on that level, and boom, it does. And it goes way, way, way higher, well beyond where the stop loss would have been for that kangaroo tail. And remember, it never traded lower. So the clue that I look for when I'm watching support and resistance, just like the shoes with the tourists, is the market sitting on that level, and does it keep hitting that level without moving away from it? If it sits there on the level and doesn't move away and gets really tight up against it, it's probably going to break through. And it's a really simple way that you can interpret the charts when you're looking at them and you see the market gets to support and resistance and you don't know where it's going to go. First of all, I would wait for a signal candle to tell you. But second, even if you do get a signal candle like we had over here, which a lot of people will get sucked into a sell trade here, remember, if you put your order below the low here, you don't get triggered. And if you pay attention to the fact that all these candles are just kind of sitting here, and then finally it does explode and tells you, yep, it was ready to go higher and higher only. It wasn't ready to go lower. That's something that I would definitely pay attention to. Use this in your testing. Go back historically through the charts, through Forex Tester or whatever you use to test, and see this for yourself. Don't take my word for it, but it's something that you will see over and over again. I wish you happy trading. We'll see you soon.